Welcome, everyone, to the Union Federation podcast, where we discuss both Star Trek and the Orville here on the Fandom Podcast Network. My name is Kevin. I'm going to be your captain, and we're really excited. We're going live for, I think, one of the first times for Union Fed, and we're hoping to keep this up for our run through this new season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Speaking of, this is Union Federation episode 219 here on Union Federation and, of course, the Fandom Podcast Network, and also can be found on the BQN. Go ahead and hit that QR code up there if you're watching the video. That'll take you straight to our website. Help support us there. And we are celebrating Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3. And we've got 10 episodes in the queue that we're going to be discussing when they pop out, and we're excited about that. It's nice to know what the episode names are going forward here on Strange New Worlds. All right, but first, let's introduce our crew here on the Union Federation Starship. With me, as always, is my co-founder of the Fandom Podcast Network. Let's welcome to the stage. I guess he's kind of my co-captain. I'm not sure what he's been up to. He's been away on some type of weird shuttle party rave. So, Kyle Wagner, welcome to the Union Federation.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I'm excited to talk Strange New Worlds. We got one of our favorite crewmates back for this episode too. But little does she know that the wedding planner is here making arrangements. So
we'll see what type of wedding planner he or she is. Kyle, of course, is speaking of our Oracle and Science Officer. Welcome back, Haley Stoddard. What's going on?
Hello. So the GORN babies, everything's fine. It's all cleared up. I'm still a little struggling, so I'm gonna have to continue to go to sickbay, but I'm doing better.
All right, good to hear. Good to hear. It's really good to have you back on Union Federation. So welcome.
Glad to be back.
We just want to tease also what's happening with Union Federation recently on the network, guys. We haven't been having a lot of fun. Of course, we had a good run where we did our two-part episode review of all the Star Trek Next Generations. I believe there was like 9 episodes total that we had on there, a wrap-up show included. A lot of fun discussing the two-part episodes. We also recently finished up with Season 5, the final season of Lower Decks. And we also did our review of Section 31. And also recently we had a lot of fun. We went to the Orville and we did a 10-part limited series discussing each of the main characters. And we also had a wonderful last episode where we talked about all the guest stars, reoccurring guest stars, and Star Trek alumni. So, guys, let's go ahead and hit the first away mission. So I just want to start off right off. I was a little surprised that we got a list of the name of all of the episodes for season 10. I thought that was kind of cool, Haley. What do you think?
You know me. I don't read that stuff. I don't want to know. I take it as it comes.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes, granted, it's not always giving away something that's going to happen, but a lot of the times it does, and I don't want to know. I don't watch the next on, or I got it.
You're like, no spoilers for me.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, I remember that was changing when this TV show 24 was coming out, because when you watch the next episodes, things it like gave away all the plot. You're like, okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
It
So, Kyle, what about you?
I think it's kind of cool. I just wish that they would maybe not use so many big words in some of these titles.
Well, before we go any further, guys, we have a spoiler alert for you. If you have not seen I knew I was going to
Hegemony.
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 You know, we gotta have money for those hedges. Just
Hegemony Part 2, and of course, Wedding Bell Blues. Spoiler alert. I dropped the ball on that, Kyle. Even though you helped me, I dropped the ball.
we try. You know, we're only human here, except for Haley. You know, Haley's.
We don't know what I am at this point. Let's be real.
So, Hegemony. There you go. Part 2 we're discussing, and Wedding Bell Blues here on Union Federation Podcast. It's great to have Star Trek Strange New Worlds back. Seems like it's been a long time. Let's go ahead and hit the Admiral's episode log synopsis. Haley, if you want to go ahead and read the first one here for us for that word that I'm having trouble saying.
Of course. Captain Christopher Pike and the crew of the USS Enterprise plant a tracker on the GORN ship that has captured Security Chief Laan Noonien Singh, Dr. Joseph Mbenga, pilot Erica Ortegas, xenoanthropologist Sam Kirk, and many human colonists. Despite orders from Starfleet to stay in Federation space, Admiral Robert April allows the Enterprise to follow the tracker. Using engineer Montgomery Scott's GORN transponder device to go undetected, they find an uncharted binary star system which hides the GORN homeworld and a large invasion force. Due to the GORN's sensitivity to stellar activity, they trigger a long hibernation cycle by creating an artificial coronal mass ejection. Laan, Mbenga, Ortegas, and Sam escape with transporter codes for the colonists, enabling the Enterprise to rescue them. Ortegas is severely wounded during the escape, and the Enterprise suffers extensive damage. Meanwhile, Vulcan Science Officer Spock and Nurse Christine Chapel neutralize the GORN eggs inside Pike's girlfriend, Captain Marie Battelle, with the help of First Officer Una Chin Riley / Number One's augmented Illyrian blood.
All right.
And I think it's actually Hegemony.
Hegemony?
It's just weird. Yeah.
Thank you, Star Trek writers. Appreciate that very much.
Right?
Hegemony Part 2. Haley, let's start through this. Get your first reaction to this, because obviously this was I totally forgot that we had a kind of a cliffhanger on the end of season 2, because it's been so long.
It has been long, and I realized as I went to watch it, I was like, oh, I should have probably gone back and watched season 2 again, but I've been so busy catching up on other things that I didn't think about it. I enjoyed it, and again, we get Montgomery Scott. Yay! I'm so excited because we all know I like my engineers. So I enjoyed it, but also I was a little surprised that it wasn't like a oomph kind of thing. I don't know if you guys were expecting like an oomph. I don't know. Like I was expecting it to be like a bigger thing that ended up like kind of silencing the GORN.
Right.
Like it was, but then it was just kind of like, oh, okay. It wasn't a letdown, but I was
Kyle,
just like,
you have something to add to that?
I actually kind of agree with Haley on this. It felt like coming off such a strong season finale and the way that episode ended. In a way, this episode, while it was good, felt a little anticlimactic to me. And I there's a couple of reasons I think for that, because part of it was never felt like the crew was actually really in peril. And then when the one crew member that feels like, okay, we could have something major happen here, she comes out somewhat fine at the end of the episode. I'm talking about Ortega. I mean, she just gets through the ringer in this, and
yeah, she's like bleeding out while she's doing the escape and everything. So
and I'm going to be honest here in a little bit. It's like they had a chance to really have an oomph with that character, and it kind of just felt like they just didn't have the courage to go further with it. Now, there's other things that are going to happen when we talk about the next episode with her, but it just kind of felt like, yeah, no, we're going to pull it back just a little bit and hold it back. I don't know. It just there was something just a little bit missing from this episode, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
I felt like just because it's been so long since we've been with this crew. I actually went back and watched the season finale of the last one. So, but I thought the wrap up they actually played to let you know what happened before was actually pretty good. So I don't know if it was worth watching it, but there's little details that you catch when you watch the whole thing. But I kind of feel too that like, okay, we're going to let you know that everyone's going to get out of this somewhat, unscathed somewhat. And, it felt kind of like, okay, we're going to let you know that the GORN are still around and they're going to be the big bad, but you're going to escape this time, and then you're going to probably have some residual effects and have to deal with them later. So I liked that there was just letting you know there's some good action scenes toward the end there too, and it seemed like Captain Pike didn't lose a step; he was right there. Haley, I just got to tell you, you have it seared in my brain. Captain Shiny Pants. I'm just saying.
I will say, to your point, that the GORN are the big bad, but are they? Because you know, we've got this mission and we know what happens in TOS. So we know that Arena, they encounter the Gorn, right? And they've never encountered the Gorn before. And
Right.
so it really kind of makes me wonder that maybe they'll come back, but maybe not. I mean, we've only got 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if really it's not going to go that way. Because then there would be more in the books about the Gorn, and Kirk would know about the Gorn, you know? And so it's just kind of it's one of those wedges where you're just like, how are they going to fit that in?
You have an excellent point. And by the way, I just want to say that it's nice to have you back, because compared to Kyle and I, you are our TOS expert on this.
Yes.
So it's nice to have you on here. What I find kind of interesting, maybe we'll touch on this a little bit later on a topic I have, is I kind of have a feeling that, and I'm okay with it, that Star Trek Strange New Worlds might rewrite a little history. Not too bad, but, you know, I feel that they might do that, because now that they've introduced the Gorn, I feel like that they will bring it back for a reason. But, you know, it's one of those things, like, you got to be careful. You know, you got to kind of tap dance around that a little bit, and don't make too much big waves, because you know how Star Trek fans are about their, you know, their canon, you know, their history and stuff. So yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, let's go ahead and get into the next episode synopsis. Haley, you want to read the next one for us here that we have for Wedding Bell Blues?
Of course. 3 months after the Gorn conflict, the Enterprise has been repaired at Starbase 1, and the crew prepare to celebrate the Federation's 100th anniversary. Following her research fellowship with archaeologist Dr. Roger Corby, Chapel rejoins the crew and brings Corby as her new romantic partner, disappointing Spock, who had hoped to rekindle his relationship with her. Spock is given a drink by an unfamiliar Vulcan bartender. And the next day, he wakes up in a different reality where the crew were preparing to celebrate his and Chapel's wedding. The same unfamiliar being now appears as an Andorian wedding planner. Corby is aware of the change and confronts Spock, who regains his memories after punching Corby. At the wedding ceremony, Chapel regains her memories after Spock recites a poem that Kirby once read to her. They confront the wedding planner, who is revealed to be a childlike, extra-dimensional being, and is reprimanded by his father, voiced by somebody. The beings leave, and reality returns to normal. The crew celebrate, except for Otegas, who is emotionally scarred from her experience with the Gorn.
How adorable was Corby Dog? Corby Dog was really cute.
Yes, in a tux dress shirt that very much mimicked, because my parents got married in the 70s, and they had that ruffly, except for it was in the pale yellow. So yeah.
So give me your first reactions to this, Haley.
This was fun, and it's always nice when our crew gets to have fun, right? And at first I was like, okay, where's this going? And I immediately knew. And again, if you're a fan of TOS, you know this is Trelane. And I love this experience that we get with Trelane. Like in TOS, it's great. It's fun. You know, they go to this planet and they find him and he's locked up, right? So you can envision that being the subsequent episode to this, because, you know, he's just out flying around, and, you know, then he's confined to this planet where, you know, our later crew will stumble upon him. But I knew this was Trelane from the beginning, and it was great and just fun to see, you know, again, an 1,820-year-old child apparently just like, I just want to have some fun. He's like a whiny teenager, like, Dad, just let me. I just want to have some fun. And so it was great. And then again, you know, his dad, voiced by the legendary John Delancey, who is a Q, which is suspected that the Trelane was a Q, and that his parents were like
never been confirmed, though, right?
No, it's never been confirmed, but it really does make sense. These beings that have these powers that are just so immense to snap their fingers in anything into existence. So I enjoyed it.
Kyle, what are your first reactions to Wedding Bell Blues?
It was fun, and it's continuing a tradition that I've seen, I think, since the start of Strange New Worlds, where the first episode is a heavier subject, and they have a fun episode for the second episode of the season. And that's definitely what they did here. Anything with when you put Spock and Chapel together too is always entertaining in my book. And I found it interesting too, because of the 3-month jump, you see some different things with the crew in this. You know, Uhura has a different look with the bushy hair now. You've got Chapel with a little bit longer hair. You've got, you know, a different side of Pike because he's been living with his love for the last few months. So you get a little bit different perspective of the crew. And the other thing is, and I'm just going to say this, what Ethan Peck is adding to the Spock mythos is so amazing. I love what he is doing with Spock. I loved him in this episode. Again, he was just so outstanding. And I think that was the highlight for me is Peck's performance as Spock in this episode.
I agree. He was great in this. Not to mention looking really good shirtless. I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm a little jealous of that. But I feel like what I like about Peck's performance as Spock, and at first I'm like, is he showing a little too emotion for a Spock that we're used to from, you know, the TOS and the movies and stuff? And I go, no, I need to see this from Spock. I need to see this. I need to see him in love with someone and showing some disappointment for not going the way he wants. And I kind of felt bad for him too, you know, especially when he's like, you know, I got to walk away. I can't watch this anymore in his own Spock way. But yeah, I always love a reason to have the cast dress up in nice outfits. And I'm still questioning the music for Wake Me Up Before You Go. But okay. I could have picked 1,000 other songs and than that one, but all right then, you know. Kyle.
Just real quick, I don't know if I can feel too bad for Spock because I don't know if you guys picked up on this and maybe it's just me. Seems like they already are starting to develop maybe a new love interest for Spock already. He was kind of connecting with Leanne in this episode in an interesting way.
The way she looked at him when he walked away after the dance and how she said, you know, she's not to be tied down. I kind of, and especially the fact that he's getting the dancing down, I think she found that attractive in him. What do you think? What do you think, Kaylee?
Maybe. I enjoyed that. I think that was, you know, just a nice touch of, because, you know, we get Data and Dr. Crusher dancing and her teaching him how to dance. So I like that little bit because it shows how much these characters still enjoy and are human, and it helps us relate to them. And I will have to say, you know, I remind listeners, Vulcans have emotions. They just aren't ruled by them. So for him, and at this point, you know, he's still in that phase. Like we get Spock in TOS. That Spock has pretty much just not necessarily gone complete Kolinar because we know that he doesn't do that. But he has allowed more of his logic to control him. So at that point, like he is less showing of his emotions. He still shows them, but it's less. And so this is still kind of younger Spock. We have to remember that.
Him punching Corby was hilarious. And I like that the fact that the music let you know it was okay to laugh at that. You know, so that was a nice touch. Well, yes. Let's get into some Star Trek trivia here, and Haley, I'd like you to start us off with the first one. I got three trivias for each episode.
All right. One of the treatment methods Spock suggests for Captain Battelle is microscopic debulking, which is a real-life surgical procedure used in treating cancer and other malignant growths. The Mohs surgery being an example. First, chemotherapy and radiation are used to shrink the tumor as small as possible. Then a surgeon removes the remaining macroscopically visible tumorous tissue, then focuses on removing any remaining microscopic cancer cells that could cause the tumor to regrow. This process involves removing thin layers of tissue under where the visible tumor was removed, examining them them under a microscope and repeating the process until all cancerous cells are removed. This greatly decreases the chance of reoccurrence and is especially useful in treating aggressive types of cancer that recur, like basal cell carcinomas or squamous cell carcinomas. That's actually quite interesting. It makes complete sense.
Does that also go along with the chemo, you think, that someone might take? Or
So with cancers that are easily treated with chemotherapy and radiation, what they do is typically they try to get the cancer cells as small as possible. Because if they're in an area that is operable, but at a certain size, it can be quite damaging, or it could actually cause, death. Right. They want to get those cancer cells as small as possible before they have to go in and surgically remove them. And so it is pretty common to treat them first with the chemotherapy and radiation, and then go in and remove any remaining, just to make sure that they get it all. So, yeah.
It's glad to have you back.
Yay, science officer.
Yeah.
I'll
get number 2 here, and then Kyle, you can read the next one. Trivia number 2 here. Captain Pike tells Admiral April that if the Federation doesn't stand up to the GORN, they will keep expanding the borders of their territory into Federation space, which is exactly what winds up happening 7 years later. A star chart in the briefing room shows that the latest demarcation lines the GORN have declared to define the border of the GORN hegemony. The star charts show that the northern boundary of the border is very close to the Cestus system. In 2267, the GORN attacked a Federation colony on Cestus 3, killing most of the colonists and attacking the Starfleet outpost as well. The GORN then used the outpost communication system to lure the USS Enterprise into the Cestus system, leading to Captain James T. Kirk's famous confrontation with Kirk Fu, with the captain of the GORN ship, in the television episode Arena in 1967. The intervention of the Metrons forced the GORN to cede the Cestus system back to the Federation. The last time I looked up this little bit of trivia was when I was at the famous Vasquez Rocks, taking some pictures with my traveling Tosk. So I did wait, is this Cestus 3 or is it part of Cestus 3?
It's so many planets at this point.
Kyle, hit us up with the final bit of trivia here that we have for the that Hegemony episode. I keep mispronouncing.
Hegemony. Star Trek Deep Space Nine in 1993 reveals that the Federation reestablished a colony on Cestus 3, naming this capital city Pike City in honor of Captain Christopher Pike. The season 4 premiere, The Way of the Warrior in 1995, also reveals in 2371 the colonists on Cestus 3 formed the first baseball league since the 21st century, with the league being comprised of 6 teams. Captain Benjamin Sisko's girlfriend, Cassidy Yates, has a brother who lives on Cestus 3 and plays for the capital team, the Pike City Pioneers.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah. All right.
PS9 rewatch, I guess.
Yeah. All right. We have now some trivia for episode 2, Wedding Bell Blues. Go ahead and lead us off there, Haley.
At the wedding, Scotty is wearing a unique Scottish-style Starfleet dress uniform that has a kilt, along with a tartan, the checkered cloth on his shoulder, belt, and sporran, belt pouch, for those who do not know. Yep. This is essentially the same dress uniform Scotty wears in a few episodes of Star Trek, the most notably in Is There in Truth No Beauty? Each Scottish clan has its own unique color patterns, which are worn on their tartans. Scotty's tartan is a black and white variation of the real-life Scott clan's tartan, specifically the pattern made for real-life poet and historian Sir Walter Scott. Despite him being Irish, members of Clan Scott gave actor James Doohan their blessing to wear their clan tartan. However, actor Martin Quinn is Scottish, making him the first Scottish person to play the real-life role of Scotty. Woohoo!
I love that. I thought that was great.
That is fantastic. I love that.
All right, here we go. When going over the wedding choreography, the wedding planner mentions, assuming we won't have a Caliphie situation. He is referring to the Vulcan ritual combat known as Caliphie, Vulcan for challenge, foreshadowing Spock's future wedding and his first Ponfar in a mock time. That music's going through my head right now.
I know. I can hear the bells.
The challenge is part of the Vulcans' mating ritual known as the Kun-i Caliphie, During the ritual, if the female did not wish to mate with the male arranged for her during childhood, she can claim fee, at which point the male chosen for her must fight another male of her choosing to the death. Spock's fiancée T'Pring did not wanting to be married to the Starfleet officer, chooses Captain Kirk to be her champion, forcing Spock to fight Kirk lest he die from the blood fever of Pon farr.
Just plain dirty. Just plain dirty.
Go ahead and hit us up. Sorry?
I was just going to say, because we've got 3 quick, real rapid fire trivias here from this episode.
Yes, go ahead and hit those for us, Kyle.
Yep. When suggesting possible reasons for the change in the crew, one suggestion is an improbability field, such as the one encountered in the episode Subspace Rhapsody. Christina
Otherwise
Chong,
known as the singing episode, if I remember correctly. Right?
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Christina Chong is incredibly talented, ladies and gentlemen, because not only is she a great actress, she can also sing, but she also studied dance until an injury changed her focus to acting. And then finally, the story takes place in the year 2261 during the Centennial of Federation Day, commemorating the founding of the United Federation of Planets.
Nice. All right. That's some good trivia there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the next away mission. All right. We're going to be talking about, of course, here on Star Trek Strange New World Season 3, we're talking about the main episode discussion of the first episode, Hegemony. Hegemony. I'm doing that because I know
It's just a running joke now, guys.
I don't care. So I found a cool topic that brought a couple things up from Screen Rant here, and they said that Captain Pike seems to be really being a good Captain Pike here. It says when the episode begins, Captain Pike immediately goes into problem-solving mode, turning to his crew for ideas, refusing to leave his captured crew members behind. Pike punches back to Gorn, pushing the Starship Enterprise to its limit, using the ship as a battering ram and turning it into a makeshift star, turning Captain Pike into one of Trek's greatest heroes. So according to this writer, that's what they're saying. Is Captain Pike, as he cemented himself as one of Trek's greatest heroes, in your opinion? Haley, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, man. You're leading with me.
Oh, yes. Captain
Yes.
Shiny Pants.
I've loved Captain Pike just from watching The Cage. And I was so excited when, we got Strange New Worlds because we were going to get more of this amazing captain that we just got so little of. And then, we saw him again and he was just beeps. And so I am really enjoying this. I will say Captain Picard because I can't not have him as my number one because I grew up with him. But Captain Pike is number 2, man. 1.5. They're just about tied. I think the way he leads his crew, not only is he commanding, but he leads with grace and he goes to them. He goes with them and he says, what are your ideas? What suggestions? And he collaborates with his crew and he has his crew collaborate with each other. And that is really something that a great captain does. It's not just about I'm in charge. I'm telling you what to do. I'm going to lead 100% of the time, because yes, there are times where that is called for, but then there's times where you need to bring up your other people. And that's why you have a crew. Otherwise it would just be one person on a ship doing everything and the ship would be smaller and it would all just be able to be done by the chair. You have these other people as a lieutenant, as your first officer, as these other officers in your crew for a reason. And he does a fantastic job of being their leader and encouraging them to grow too, even if it's beyond what they're currently doing.
Especially the scene with the lieutenant, the pilot, when she's piloting the ship and he's having trouble with the G's and and then when they get out of it safe, he's like, you were born to do this, which he wasn't used to going through that trip and going through the whatever it was to a free falling basically. Mm-hmm. But he was able to still keep his head on straight and do a nice compliment to her. What about you? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, he noticed, he's like, you've been at this for a long time. Go, take a leave. And, she says no. And he's like, all right, then. And he honored that rather than forcing her to do something that she wasn't wanting to do.
Exactly. Kyle, what about you? Has Pike cemented himself as one of Star Trek's greatest heroes?
Oh, for sure of that. But this is the way I see it. Captain Pike is the truest definition of the greatest Starfleet captain. And when I say that, what I mean is he embodies everything a captain should be. He's balanced. He's fair. He knows when to take risks.
He throws barbecues. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but just across the board. I mean, as much as you love Kirk was a rebel, and he didn't follow orders, and he didn't follow things. Sisko, I love Sisko, but Sisko had a little bit of a dark side to him, and
he did.
Sisko had an edge. Picard was a great captain, but Picard had a lot of his own emotional issues that
Picard was the ultimate diplomat. That's what set him aside too. Yeah.
But when we are talking just about as a whole, as a Starfleet captain, Christopher Pike represents that more than any other captain we've had in Star Trek history, in my opinion.
What's interesting is I'm sorry, what's the captain's name in Voyager? Sorry.
Janeway.
There's certain things that Janeway did too that I also see in Pike, especially when it comes to just getting to know the crew a little bit, and not in a carefree way, but just in a kind of a casual way. And there's little things I've seen in Janeway a little bit with Pike too. I don't know if that was done on purpose, but it's something that I noticed as well. So. Okay, I got another one here for you guys. Topic number 2 is Star Trek puts the GORN to bed now. I want to ask you guys, has the GORN scared you? And are they a good ongoing villain to return to? Well, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I want to expand on it. First of all, have they scared you? They scared me.
The GORN,
God!
Yeah. The GORN are the truest, most terrifying alien that we've had in Star Trek, because they're primal, but they have intelligence.
Yeah.
They infect you, and it's a different way than like being assimilated by a Borg. It's not good. It's not good for you if you get GORN eggs in you. And the thing about it, especially right now with the GORN, is there's still a lot we don't know. And that's what's intriguing about the GORN. And that's why I think they're put to bed for a while. But like you said earlier, Kevin, I think they're going to be back in the mix, whether it's this season or in one of the final 2 season 4, season 5. But we have not seen the last of the GORN, and they're terrifying because they're a nightmare. They are something you see in a nightmare.
They remind me of a xenomorph. I think we talked about that last time, and that scares me. What about you, Haley? What do you think? Do they scare you? Do you think you want to see more?
Yeah, and it is interesting to think about, this reptilian species that is intelligent. A lot of the times our aliens in Star Trek are other humanoids. And so this is something that's not. We can't effectively communicate with it, at least at this point, right? They're learning that, oh, hey, they've got these cycles where they go into sleep and they go into hibernation mode, which makes sense. There's plenty of beings and animals that on our planet do those things and have those cycles, right? There's frogs that will go into hibernation and they get buried in the ground in snow, in frost, and their bodies freeze. And then when the thaw comes around, they wake back up. Yeah. It's crazy. But they have this ability to do that. So I think
nature's really amazing that way.
Nature is incredible. And so I can understand like how they're learning about it. And it is terrifying to have something that you cannot vocally communicate with.
And I think they've done a good job of making them realistic and with a certain type of scary intelligence, because they're not just like we mentioned, they're not just dumb creatures. They're smart and they're fierce.
They have ships and everything else.
The ship actually, I got kind of a Prometheus vibe, Kyle, kind of like an alien derelict ship type of thing from Alien.
Very much so.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we got an interesting new person to talk about. But right before we do that, though, the other topic I want to ask you guys about is that Strange New World Season 3 delivers a fun diversion sprinkled with character insight and Wedding Bell Blues, centered on Spock's complicated love life. You'll learn from his personal log what he's been doing for over 3 months. Spock, of course, nervously prepares for Nurse Chapel's return. And then she comes in with a new boyfriend, Dr. Roger Corby. He's Mr. Smarty Pants. And Strange New Worlds does a good job of making him likable despite his rivalry to Spock. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on where Spock's and Nurse Chapel's relationship that we learn and what happens in this episode. Kyle, start with you.
I feel bad for Spock because here's the guy who said, "Okay,
hug him. Tell him it's gonna be okay.
I'm gonna wait separation time," and then you knew it was coming. Chapel shows up with Corby in a relationship, and I think we've all been there at some point. Oh, I'll give you a little space, and the next thing you know, that person's off with somebody else, and you really feel for Spock, and yet you kind of understand it maybe a little bit because of just how Spock is, and Chapel's with this guy who has this amazing charisma and has this amazing moment with her, and she falls for him. But one of my favorite parts of that was when they first beam on and you see the looks of Leanne and Scotty, and they're kind of giving all these strange looks. And
awkward.
Yeah, just a little bit. And, is it the end of their relationship? Maybe. I don't know where they're going to go with this future-wise. I think, though, it really makes sense to have it go this way because I think it's going to be kind of this thing where Spock and Chapel have this love for each other, but it's never really going to be able to fully connect ever. And I think that's kind of, in a way, something that fits, considering we're talking about Spock and Chapel, who has some of her own issues.
Haley, what about you?
Well, for one, as a TOS person, no, it's not strange that they don't work out. Definitely very awkward. Oh man, I loved when Scotty was just like, dude, like playing with like the
that man is playing Galaga.
Yeah, I'm just gonna avoid looking up at anybody because I'm new to the ship and I don't know everyone just quite yet, kind of stuff. But so for people who don't know TOS, Dr. Corby, he's brought up in the episode what are little girls made of, and we learned that Chapel, because she gets excited about knowing that Dr. Corby's there, and she goes down because she wants to see this person that she had this past relationship with. And you also know that Spock had feelings for Nurse Chapel and kind of still does. I mean, he carries these, let's say, for a very, very, very long time. So it's not something that's going to go away, but I don't think it's ever going to ever come to fruition again. Again, based off of what we know from TOS, because nothing ever happens. Despite Spock wanting it to, I think that, they have so much in common and they enjoy each other's company. But at the same time, there are those differences. And Spock knows that he can't give Christine what she really needs. And Christine knows that. And so I think there's that mutual acknowledgement that despite their love for each other,
still a bummer.
That's not going to work. I know.
Let love reign, damn it.
I know. Okay, so. I'm sorry. I know you're the one that's like, yay! And I'm over here like, sorry, gonna rain on your parade. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm used to it. So the second topic that we have here for Wedding Bell Blues is so we're introduced to a new character, a trickster, who decides to want to help out Spock. The trickster takes on the role of the wedding planner. Corby is the only one who notices something is amiss. Now, this is a note from the writer of this article saying, although the wedding planner is not given a name, all signs point to him being Trelane, William Campbell, from the original Star Trek series episode, The Squire of Gothos. As of note, Trelane's father is voiced by none other than John Delancey, but the episode gives no indication that he's playing Q. Of course, find out, of course, his name is Trelane if you look up IMDb and everything else. This leads to zany hijinks as Corby and Spock later work out to figure out what's going on with the Enterprise crew members preparing for the wedding. Rhys Darby's trickster Trelane is perfect fit for Strange New Worlds, and the episode's final twist comes right from the TOS episode, The Squire of Gothos. So I have a question for you guys. I'm going to put up here a picture of Rhys Darby's here as this version of Trelane. I also found a funny meme that showcased the lower decks cast looking at the screen, and you see Rhys Darby's Trelane, and then you see the young, I guess it's Q's son from the Voyager episode, if I remember correctly. And the lower decks crew says they have like the same face, and then they're completely different. They're completely different faces. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I want to ask you guys, Trelane, question mark. Thoughts on this mysterious character and strange new worlds being introduced to Q-like characters played by, of course, Rhys Darby. Let's start with you, Haley.
Well, I mean, I already talked about it. It was Trelane, from the jacket and just the way he was behaving. And when you see on the pad,
the mutton chops, you know,
yeah, the mutton chops. Oh my gosh! But when you see him with the pad when he's walking out and he starts talking, you can see that he looks like he's an Andorian, right? But then, of course, to us, the viewer, we see as his true form, and so it makes you wonder, well, what is everybody? So everybody else sees him as an Andorian. Spock saw him as a Vulcan bartender at first, you know, and so you just know they're mischievous, and these things, as far as I can say, and as a fan, they've been around since the formation, right? And they've always played tricks on anything and everything that they probably could get their hands on or play tricks with for their amusement and their enjoyment and whatever else. And so there's always going to be these ones. And I thought it was great. It was a great call. And I love that you put in here that he was in Yes Man. And I loved that. Love that movie.
Yeah, I want to elaborate on that in a moment, but Kyle, I want to get your thoughts on Rhys here as Trelane.
He was great in the role, but I want to bring up something with you guys and see what you think, because for people who maybe have not watched the original series, you know, a new generation that maybe hasn't seen it yet, maybe now they have a little confusion about this character because they're haven't watched the episode in the original series, and with John Delancey coming in and voicing, maybe they're thinking, oh, he's a Q, and you think maybe that's going to cause a little confusion for people who are newer to Trek and haven't visited the original series as of yet?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I think that if they're newer to Trek and this is their first Trek, and then they go back and watch TNG, they go, "Oh my God, is that Q? Is that the father of the other guy?" You know, so. Yeah, I could see where you're getting at with it, but I like the callback. I thought it was great. I thought having John Delancey be the voice of the father, and you know, and this guy acting like a little spoiled brat was hilarious. Do you think that would be confusing for newer viewers of Star Trek, Haley?
No, I think that, you know, if someone watches this and then they go back and they watch the original series and they watch Squire of Gothos, you're going to see the same kind of thing, and you're going to go, oh, okay. There's this, you know, again, this godlike being, you know, as we go out and we explore the universe and we encounter new things. And at this point in the Federation, there's not a lot that we've encountered. There's a lot we have, but there's a lot we haven't, right?
Yeah.
And so it makes sense that there would be something out there that would just be so incredibly powerful and could make people think things, because again, that's a fear, right? Star Trek also plays a lot on the fears of things, and not being able to control your own mind and your memory and think that something is real that isn't real is a reality for some people, and quite a lot of people. I mean, sometimes let's be real. So I don't think it'd be confusing at all.
Yeah, I think it's a great addition, and I'm actually a big fan of Rhys Darby. He's done a lot of stuff recently. He had a short-lived TV series called Our Flag is Death, and it's a very funny, like, pirate ship comedy. And he's done his IMDb credits on voices is amazing. I think he plays Krabby Patty on SpongeBob SquarePants. He's done a lot of stuff, but the movie that I first remember him in is Yes Man with Jim Carrey, a very underrated comedy. It came out in 2008, and Jim Carrey's he plays Jim Carrey's boss, and he's kind of a fun-loving boss, but I think he's forced to fire him, if I remember correctly. But the thing with the film is that Jim Carrey decides to say yes to everything, because he's like a Mr. No guy, you know, and he works for an insurance, works for a bank, and he doesn't give loans out to people when he should. Then he starts saying yes to everything. And what he doesn't know is his boss loves throwing theme parties, and he has, do you want to come over and play at our Harry Potter theme party? And he's just like, yes. And Reese Darby just steals every scene that he's in, and I highly recommend you check it out. It's streaming on one of the big streamers, and I just recently revisited it. It's a very funny film, and Reese Darby's great in it. So yeah. All right, guys, let's get into this. There's one concern that this writer had, and I was kind of beginning to think, does he have a point? In the article, he says, I'm worried its cast has grown too big, being between Roger Corby, Erica's brother, a new ensign in sickbay, and a potentially new Enterprise bartender. Wedding Bell Blues introduces a lot of new characters and potential romances. Strange New Worlds already has a big cast, which leaves me worried that the show's third season may be juggling too many stories. So let's go ahead and hit with you, Haley. Do you think that there's a little too much to chew off of here, or do you think they're going to find a way to balance it out?
No, I don't think so at all. I think that, yes, you can throw in people, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be inserted into every plot line, every story, every episode, every time. And especially where, we get Ortega's brother, he's found out, oh, maybe I get to do like this, really cool, like video and things like that for Starfleet, right? Making the videos, recruitment videos and the posters, because that's going to be a thing. We know that. I don't think necessarily it's something where he's going to be in the show. Maybe often he might just kind of come in and out as a friendship for Uhura and that kind of stuff. So I don't think that necessarily is going to be a recurring character. The new ensign in sickbay, again, we'll probably see every now and then. But again, I don't think they're necessarily going to insert.
You might get like a Nurse Agawa type of situation, maybe. But it feels like he might be a little bit more, because he was funny, he was charming. So yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think so. And Roger Corby, we know that he's there for a little bit, and then he goes off and he's on a planet doing his science research. Because he makes what little girls are made of.
Yeah.
So he doesn't stick around for long either.
What about you, Kyle? Is there? You think there's too many cast members in Jungle here?
I don't think so, and I think this is an episode where you're going to have a bunch of extra cast because they're in dock. They have this big event going on. I think maybe some of these characters were introduced for some later plot lines, like Ortega's brother, considering what might be going on with Ortega this season. Corby, we might see mentioned here and there. I think of the new characters we saw, this new nurse, this ensign, might have a little bit bigger role to play, because they kind of made it a point about how much the Doctor wanted him there and how much they wanted there, how much they liked him. I do think, though, that as of right now, they shouldn't add any more to the cast, because I think there's some cast members who aren't getting enough of a spotlight, and I think that will change. But, we haven't seen much of Una in a while, just little bits and pieces here.
Yeah.
And, obviously with Carol Kane and her character, I'm sure there's only so much she can do just on scheduling and things with her. But I think they still have a good balance here, and we'll see how it plays out. I think the biggest wild card in this cast is Kirk, and how much they're going to incorporate Kirk over these next couple of seasons, leading things in. And I think that's going to be the weirdest balance. But I really do think they have just the right number. And I think after this episode, we're going to get to see more of the key part of the crew in the episodes. I think this was just a chance to expand out and introduce some characters to affect our crew.
Yeah, I'm not worried, but I tell you right now, give me more of that bartender, the 4-armed bartender, throwing some cock style Tom Cruise stuff around.
I think it was 3 arms.
Three arms. Okay, yeah, I don't care. Give me more arms. Give me 3 arms, whatever. I want to see more of that happening. I want to learn more about that bartender. I thought that was great. So you touched on this, Kyle, and I want to bring this up as we kind of wrap up the topics here. So the Gorn is under Lieutenant Erica Ortega's skin, it seems, and I thought it was a very subtle moment when Ortega's still in dress uniforms after the non-wedding happens, and Pike kind of says, "Okay, well, the bar's open," and Ortega kind of has a moment and says, quietly starts to leave, and you can see Pike notice something wrong, and I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Then we see her working out with the punching bag, and now I'm assuming she's probably infected with Gorn blood still, and there's something in there. And I'm kind of curious if this is going to be a way they're introduce some type of communication with the Gorn, or where the Gorn can hunt and, you know, just really give it to their prey and be tracked or something. I'm kind of just throwing stuff out there, but I think there's more to it than her just having some PTSD here. I think there's some infection, maybe. I think there's something weird going on. I want to get your thought on that. Let's start with you, Kyle.
I think a couple things. Her obviously being some PTSD with that situation. She flew that ship, and we still don't know a lot about Gorn technology. Are there things within that ship being connected to that ship that might have allowed some Gorn influence into her? We don't know about that. So she's been through a lot, and obviously I think there's some PTSD. There's some Gorn influence here. I think this is going to lead to some very interesting moments for her, not only with Pike, but it could be with Luann too, because she has this experience being with the Gorn. Maybe it's something that brings these two characters together a little bit, as to going to that source of somebody who's been traumatized by the Gorn as well. And I think that could be an interesting development through the season.
Yeah. What do you think, Haley?
I wasn't thinking it in that capacity. So that is an interesting notion that, you know, maybe there is something of a connection between her. I looked at it more as, you know, Erica is very tough and very strong and very determined, and she was not in this time, and that can really affect someone who is so strong, and not only physically but mentally, and views themselves that way, that it is a crisis of your personality that she's kind of struggling with, where, you know, she wants to go and fight because she's got to prove to herself that she is strong enough, and that if it does happen again, that she can fight and kill the Gorn that picked her up, kind of thing. So I saw more of that, which is PTSD, but also just, you know, she's very strong, and she doesn't view herself as weak, and only a weak person would have been able to have what happened to them. So but I do appreciate the idea that maybe there is something more to it. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
I think that's a fair statement of crisis of faith in herself too, because of again being so strong and basically being completely weak to the Gorn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where that goes. I love that every character kind of has a thing, and I love that Ortega is now known more than just being a good pilot. You know, it's got a brother that's kind of spunky and funny, and now she looks like she's kind of haunted by something, which I think is great. So I just want to mention that before we wrap things up here and get final thoughts, we are, you know, do we have a tease title of the next episode? Haley, don't look. Shuttle to Kenfori. Kenfori. Maybe I'm pronouncing and butchering that. Who knows? So we'll see what happens. But I want to get your guys' I want to give you guys a chance to, if there was a topic that you do want to quickly mention that wasn't brought up, and then also give me your final thoughts, please do. I just want to start off by saying the costumes were freaking amazing in this episode. I love the dress uniforms. I love Pike trying to figure out, like, why do I need to wear all these medals? I don't want to wear them all, but then I might, you know, make someone feel bad that I'm not wearing the one they gave me. I just love all the ceremony dresses. I will say this, though. Chapel's wedding dress, I wasn't a big fan of, because that weird kind of snaky stuff around her neck just looked like it was ready to attack her, you know, but she looked beautiful, though, and I was looking at everyone else's outfits. Just amazing. I got to give it up to the costume department and, of course, the makeup department. They did a fantastic job with this. Haley, was there anything else you wanted to bring to the table, and give me your final thoughts?
Yeah. So in the first episode, I loved how Pelia was working with Scott, with Montgomery Scotty, to get, you know, this concept that he created for a little tiny shuttle for the entire ship. And he wasn't getting it, and it wasn't getting it. And she had the idea of under pressure, under stress, and she runs in, and he's like, and she's panicked, and it's got to make it happen. And he makes it happen. Because if you watch the original series, yes, Scotty's a great engineer, and he knows the Enterprise. So we know he's going to learn the Enterprise. It is his ship, and he knows every in and out, but I love this notion that he's got to learn it. And so I'm really excited to see how he learns the Enterprise. But then it also goes to show that when he's under pressure, he knows what to do and he's going to get it done because Scotty continues to do that.
I feel like when he first got onto the Enterprise, he like walked down all of like the nacelles and, you know, the Jeffries tubes, and he probably went into everyone's quarters just to kind of see what's happening. He went in the engine room. I feel like he just did like he got steps in that day, you know, just to make sure that he knows the whole ship. So yeah. Kyle, what about you? Do you want to bring anything else that we haven't discussed to the table and give me your final thoughts?
Yeah, I do have one thing I wanted to discuss, but I want to just on Haley's point about Scotty too. What I like too is it's showing like Pelly's kind of mentoring Scotty too. You're seeing her like in this episode. You know, Scotty's famous for saying you never tell the captain the real time. Well, it's obvious he's kind of learning that from Pelly here a little bit as well. Yeah. So I like the little things they do in the show. But I think one of the big things we haven't talked about was the news that came out a couple weeks before the new season started, and the fact that Strange New Worlds is ending with season 5.
And it's going to be a shorter season, if I remember correctly, right?
It's going to be like a 6-episode season in season 5. We'll still have a full season 4, then a season 5. And what they're hinting at is that at the end of season 5, we will see the transition from Pike to Kirk a little bit as well. So I'm going to be interested to see how they play that out. And, you know, it's one of those things where we've known with Strange New Worlds and what the end game was going to eventually be. What I'm really curious about is what the future is after Strange New Worlds, because there are some rumors floating around that they might add episodes to the original series with some of the current cast that they've established in Strange New Worlds, maybe a movie or maybe some specials or something like that. So I think it's going to be very interesting over this season 4 and season 5, how they develop some of these characters even more, if that becomes the plan. Because let's be honest with you, there's not much on the Star Trek plate right now other than Starfleet Academy.
Are you suggesting that they might continue after where the last episode of Star Trek the original series ended, and then they would kind of begin again before, of course, we get the movies, and they jump to the movies, so they can make references to what happened in the TOS series and maybe have some people play parts that were originally played by other older actors from there? Is that what you're suggesting?
That's what seems to be the hint. It might even be some episodes that take place before the start of the original series.
Okay.
That's the interesting thing. Obviously, this is all rumor at this point. Paramount is in a whole weird situation right now, just on a business level. But, you know, the question is, do we want to see that? Because I would love to see more Ethan Peck as Spock. I'm just gonna say that right now.
That's true. Yeah, I'm curious. What about you, Haley?
I would love it if they did like a movie. They could do like a made-for-TV movie, because let's be real. Well, not every series had their movies, but they were TOS and TNG had their movies. So maybe like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Like
that would be nice.
Like to Paramount Plus, you know, to either do something or something. Yeah, that would be cool. So I will be sad though of not seeing Anson Mount as Pike anymore, because I've really gotten used to him. Haley, give me your final thoughts on these 2 episodes.
You know, interestingly, I enjoyed both of them, despite my little just something was missing in the first episode. And final shout out to, you know, this notion of creating a star using a ship to put people to sleep was quite sciencey and very well done. So if you haven't watched it,
did that pass your? Yeah, all right, I'll go with it.
I mean. Technically, the ship is a metal, and if you get in between the two and you disrupt the feed that they're feeding off, one is feeding off of the other, and you magnetize and you create the correct ionization, you could gather those particles towards you, which would cause your ship to, you know, be very bright. So, yes.
Okay. All right, cool.
We've just been scienced by Science Officer Haley.
What about you, Kyle? What's your final thoughts?
I think it was a decent start to the season. Like I said, I enjoyed the premiere, but it just felt like it was missing a little something, and I still haven't put my finger on it. I'm probably going to need to rewatch it again. I thought episode 2 was very fun. We had some great performances. I'm very curious to see how the season's going to be from the trailer. that we got and some of the episodes that we've got, because I know we're going to have a little bit more oddball episodes this season coming, but I think this is a great way to kick off season 3. I love this show. I love Anson Mattis Pike. I love Ethan Peck as Spock. This is quickly turning into one of my favorite Star Trek casts overall. Just as far as entertainment value and really connecting with the characters. I love TNG. I love the Discovery cast because of how well involved they were with Star Trek and how represented and great they've been with it. But there's something about this cast to me that I just connect with, and I find this very fun and very special, and I can't wait.
Yeah, they're definitely gelling for me. They're you can tell the actors are getting to know each other well and really play off. So I'm excited as well. Let's go ahead and get into some subspace signals. All right. This is the Fandom Podcast Network Union Federation. And you can find the Fandom Podcast Network and the Union Federation on YouTube. If you're watching us right now, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Give us a like and a subscribe. If you're listening to us on the audio podcast, we appreciate that. Our master feed is fpnet.podbean.com. And, of course, you can find the Union Federation. We have a Union Federation Facebook group. Make sure you check that out. We're always there and lurking and sharing all kinds of Star Trek and Orville stuff there. You can find us on X and Instagram at Union Federation. And you can also find the Fandom Podcast Network on Blue Sky. And also check out the BQN as well. They got a lot of great programming going on there. And you can also see some of our stuff leaking over there as well. But, yeah, we want to share them both. So, Haley, let's start with you. Where can people reach out to you?
You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky. I am at Trekkie01D.
Awesome. Kyle, how can we find you, sir?
Well, of course, you can find me all over the Fandom Podcast Network and all of our great Facebook pages and everywhere like that. But you can also find me on other social medias. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at @KyleW and on Instagram and Threads at @KyleFandom.
Awesome. My name is Kevin, by the way. You can find me on all the socials at Spartan_Phoenix and on Blue Sky at Spartan Phoenix. And it'll, again, a shout out to BQN. They're on Instagram and Blue Sky. And also check out their BQN Collective Facebook for the listeners group over there as well. And also, Kyle.
I thought your name was Homogeny.
Emojini? I like what they say. I'm Hegemony. Support us over on TeePublic as well. Search Fandom Podcast Network Union Federation. Kyle and I are rocking our Union Fed t-shirts. We appreciate the support there. We get a little kickback to keep the dilithium crystals going on our ship. There you get all kinds of stuff: shirts, hats, mugs, t-shirts, all kinds of things. So make sure you check us out there. Haley, it is great to have you back. Thank you. And,
we missed you. We
Yes.
feel already more smarter.
Amy,
we got to work on your English.
Amy couldn't be with us tonight. We miss you. We expect her back next week. And so thank you, guys. Appreciate that. And just remember, until next time on Union Federation Podcast, live long and prosper. And also, without a doubt, we are the weirdest ship in the fleet. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.